Breaking news! The Cleveland Browns may unexpectedly find themselves in the middle of a trade rumor storm, and this could shake up not only the quarterback room in Cleveland, but also the AFC landscape as a whole. Because, let's be honest, what's happening right now with the New York Jets could have a direct impact on the Browns' plans for the season, and we need to talk about it. But before we continue, like us right now if you believe this year could be special for our team, and comment below by writing "Go Browns," along with your opinion on who should be the immediate backup in Week 1. Let's get this debate going in the comments. I want to see the whole fan base participating. Well, let's get straight to the point. Justin Fields, the Jets' new quarterback, fell during training camp and had to be carted off the field. At first, it looked like a sprained toe, but reports changed to a possible dislocation. The severity of the injury is still unclear, but the fact that he left training camp so early in the preseason already opens the door to speculation. If the injury is long-term, the Jets will need to act, and that's where the Browns' name starts to surface. Now, this is where things heat up. Fields' backup, Tyrod Taylor, is solid. No one denies that. He's a proven veteran, and while he was expected to push Fields for some level of competition, the Jets may not feel comfortable giving him the lead for 17 games if Fields is out long-term. That's why names like Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett have already been floated as potential trade targets for the Jets. But would the Browns really trade Flacco now? Think about it. Flacco is only traded if one of the young quarterbacks, Kenny Pickett, Dillon Gabriel, or Shedeur Sanders, completely surprises the coaching staff. We're talking about a revelation like Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson, the kind of performance where the team says, this kid doesn't need training wheels, he can run the huddle and run the offense right now. And let's be real, on July 24th, there's simply no way the Browns are going to make that choice. It's too early. Now, here's where things get spicy. Tyrod Taylor, Fields' backup, is solid. No one's denying that. He's a proven veteran, and while he was expected to push Fields for some level of competition, the Jets might not feel comfortable handing him the reins for 17 games if Fields is out long-term. That's why names like Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett have already been floated as potential trade targets for the Jets. But would the Browns actually trade Flacco right now? Think about it. Flacco only gets moved if one of the young quarterbacks, Kenny Pickett, Dillon Gabriel, or Shedeur Sanders, completely shocks the coaching staff in camp. We're talking about a Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson type of breakout, the kind of performance where the team says, this kid doesn't need training wheels, he can command the huddle and run the offense right now. And let's be real, on July 24th, there's just no way the Browns can make that call. It's too early. So, Flacco staying put makes sense. He might even need to start Week 1 against Cincinnati if things don't go as planned with the younger guys. The only quarterback who could realistically be moved is Kenny Pickett, but that's highly unlikely. Think about it. The Browns traded for him, giving up a player and a 5th-round pick. Would they turn around and trade him for a 5th or 6th rounder after just a handful of practices? That's just not realistic. Now, here's the real timeline to watch. If Fields' injury is serious, the Jets will likely ride with Taylor through August, giving him the chance to win the job. But if, by late preseason, they feel he's not the guy, that's when the Browns could get a call. If the Jets come knocking in late August, would Andrew Berry listen? Probably, but only if the young quarterbacks in Cleveland prove they can step up, and that's still a huge question mark right now. And speaking of training camp, let's clear something up for Browns fans. Over the next few weeks, you're going to see daily updates, Dillon Gabriel running with the second team, Shedeur Sanders getting first team reps one day and third team the next. Don't overreact. This is all part of the early camp shuffle. The real indicators will come closer to the preseason games. If Pickett starts the first preseason game, that's a strong sign the Browns see him as a legitimate option. If Gabriel or Shedeur gets second team reps early in the preseason, that's a good barometer of how they're performing in camp. And let's not ignore the fun stuff that has fans buzzing. The Browns' new helmet. There's been talk about that viral video where a guy fell into Lake Erie during the helmet reveal, which apparently was staged. How that even became public knowledge is still a mystery. But regardless, the helmet has been well received. It pairs nicely with the brown and orange jerseys, and while some fans are skeptical about Nike's growing influence on alternate uniforms across the NFL, this one seems to be a win. But here's the thing, this is the calm before the storm, because if Fields' injury is as bad as some fear, late August could be wild. Imagine the Jets calling the Browns, desperate for a veteran quarterback. Would Cleveland risk shaking up its own depth chart for the right offer? Would they really hand over Flacco or even Pickett if the young guns aren't ready? That's the kind of decision that could change the trajectory of this this season. And here's where things get even more intriguing, because while all eyes are on the potential quarterback trade rumors, the real story for Browns fans right now is unfolding in Berea, and it might determine how this entire season plays out. Training camp has barely started, and already the quarterback competition is shaping up to be one of the most fascinating storylines in recent memory. But here's the warning: don't let the daily practice reports fool you. The Browns coaching staff is mixing things up intentionally, and we've already seen signs of that with Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, and Kenny Pickett rotating reps with different units. One day Gabriel runs with the second team, the next day Shedeur takes first team snaps, and then Pickett slides back in for primary reps. This isn't about who's winning the job right now. It's about throwing these guys into different situations and seeing how they respond. The first real indicator of where things stand will come in the preseason games, and here's what to watch for. If Pickett starts the first preseason game, that's a major statement. It would mean the Browns are giving him the first crack at proving he can be more than just a backup and potentially challenge for significant snaps this season. If that happens, it also tells us how much trust the coaching staff has in him compared to Flacco. But what about the rookies? Here's where things get exciting. If Gabriel gets into the game early, say, running with the second team in the first half, it signals that the Browns view him as further along in his development than Shedeur. On the flip side, if Shedeur is the one who gets those early reps, that means he's making a big impression in camp. Whichever rookie gets stuck in the fourth quarter is the one the coaches believe still needs more time to develop, and that's going to be critical in determining how this quarterback room shakes out by September. Now, let's talk about Flacco, because he's still the safety net, and unless one of these young quarterbacks absolutely blows the doors off, Flacco is going to remain a key piece of this team heading into week 1. Remember, this is a veteran who can command the huddle, read defenses, and manage games, which might be exactly what the Browns need in the opener against Cincinnati. And that's why any trade talk involving Flacco feels premature right now. Cleveland simply cannot afford to move him unless they're 100% sure one of these younger guys can step in and deliver at a high level immediately. And speaking of rumors, let's revisit that Jets situation for a second, because the timing of all of this matters. If Justin Fields' injury turns out to be a long-term issue, the Jets will give Tyrod Taylor every chance to win the job over the next month. But if he struggles in preseason, late August could become very interesting. That's when teams panic. That's when desperation kicks in. If the Jets come calling with an aggressive offer, something bigger than a 5th or 6th round pick, would Andrew Berry pick up the phone? Here's the thing. Andrew Berry has always been a calculated GM. He's not going to move a quarterback unless the return makes sense, and the Browns are confident they won't regret it. But if Pickett or one of the rookies emerges as a legitimate option over the next few weeks, Berry could find himself in a position to deal from a place of strength, and that's when things could get wild. Now, before we wrap up, let's talk about something that's been a bit under the radar but still has fans buzzing: the helmet reveal. That viral video of the guy falling into Lake Erie during the announcement? Yeah, turns out it was staged, and somehow that became public knowledge. The Browns haven't officially explained how the information leaked, but regardless, the new helmet has been a hit. It pairs perfectly with the brown and orange jerseys, giving Cleveland a fresh look without going overboard like some other teams have with their alternate uniforms. There's been some chatter about Nike pushing too many alternate designs across the NFL, but for now, the Browns seem to have nailed it. So, Browns fans, here's where we stand. Training camp is just heating up, trade rumors are lurking in the background, and the quarterback room is still completely up for grabs. The decisions made over the next month, especially in those preseason games, are going to define not just who starts week 1, but possibly the entire direction of this season. Because if one of these young quarterbacks can step up, everything changes. And if the Jets get desperate, we might see a move no one expected. But now I want to hear from you. If the Jets come in late August with a serious trade offer, do you move one of our quarterbacks, or do you keep the depth intact no matter what? And based on what you've seen so far, who do you think should be the Browns' number 2 quarterback going into the season? Pickett, Gabriel, or Shedeur? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's get this debate going. And don't forget, smash that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown, and subscribe so you don't miss any of the big updates coming out of camp. This is going to be one of the most exciting Browns training camps we've seen in years, and you won't want to miss a second of it.